Hello and welcome to the Fast Forward Medical Innovation Mi-Kickstart Award Proposal Workshop. My name is Michelle Larkin and I am a tech mining specialist with Fast Forward Medical Innovation at the University of Michigan Medical School. So today the goals for the Kickstart workshop are to provide an overview of the Mi-Kickstart program, to understand what the review committee is looking for in each proposal section, learn how to craft a compelling proposal using an example, and to identify potential resources. So to frame for the workshop, we will be discussing throughout the workshop an example project titled CryoAnesthesia. Just to give a little bit of background on the CryoAnesthesia project before we begin, it focuses around ophthalmology and intravitreal injections. So ophthalmologists give patients intravitreal injections or IVTs for a variety of eye conditions, including diabetes and macular degeneration. These injections require anesthesia of the eye surface, and currently this is achieved through a couple of different methods, including topical application of anesthetic gel to the eye, injection of this anesthetic on the eye surface, or topical application of ice in the instance where patients are allergic to these anesthetics. So keep this project in mind and we'll be referencing it as we move forward through the workshop. Fast Forward Medical Innovation at the University of Michigan administers the Mi-Kickstart Awards through our Innovation Hub program. We also offer a variety of other services, including commercialization education and business development services to our faculty here at the University of Michigan. The Mi-Kickstart Award is a proof of concept fund that's aimed at enhancing commercial potential of a technology. Typically, this is done through a technical development, which may include prototyping or in vivo animal studies, or sometimes clinical research, and other times commercial questions are answered during the Mi-Kickstart Award. This can take the form of market research, IP assessments, and regulatory assessments. Funds are available up to $50,000 for a single critical milestone to be achieved over a 6 month to 1 year time frame. Kickstart proposals are reviewed by a panel of experts from tech transfer offices around the state, and the Kickstart Award is offered on a quarterly basis with deadlines shown here in February, May, August, and November. There are a couple of requirements to apply for the Mi-Kickstart Award. Mi-Kickstart is available to faculty and staff at institutions within the state of Michigan, and the intellectual property associated with the project must be held at the institution. We require that at a minimum, the investigator has submitted an invention disclosure or an idea report to their tech transfer office. The Mi-Kickstart Award is a cost-sharing award in which half of the money comes from the sponsor and then the other half comes from the department or institution of the investigator. Additionally, preliminary data must be available to justify that your proposed solution can solve the problem that you're trying to address with this award. The Mi-Kickstart Award Review Committee consists of members from technology transfer and commercialization offices from institutions and health systems around the state of Michigan. There are representatives from the University of Michigan, as well as other academic institutions, including Michigan State and Wayne State, as well as health systems, including Genesis, Henry Ford, and Spectrum. The Mi-Kickstart Award consists of 7 sections, which are listed here: the unmet need, solution, research plan, team, budget, references, and supplemental materials. We'll be spending most of the workshop today on the unmet need and solution sections, and at the end we'll touch on the research plan, team, and budget. Before we get into each section of the proposal, I want to first point out some common failure modes associated with the Mi-Kickstart Award to be aware of as we move forward through this workshop. The first failure mode is that the proposal is research focused and not product focused. So as I mentioned before, the Mi-Kickstart Review Committee consists of technology transfer and commercialization representatives from institutions around the state. These are technology transfer and commercialization focused individuals and not academic scientific reviewers that you may be accustomed to encountering for NIH or other extramural funding grants. The second common failure mode is that the unmet need is not clear or compelling. This typically has to do with the unmet need not being described in adequate enough detail, or the unmet need is not correlated with the solution that you're proposing. The third common failure mode is that customer discovery learnings are either not incorporated or are not from outside of your ecosystem. It's important to understand that if a problem exists at your institution, that same problem exists elsewhere as well. The final common failure mode is that your proposal lacks a discussion of your competition and your solution's unique differentiation. It's also important to remember that your competition may be standard of care. A good way to prevent these common failure modes is to consider participating in the Fast Forward Medical Innovation Fast Pace course. Fast Pace is a 4-week hybrid in-course and out-of-course learning program that focuses on customer discovery and building a business case for your project. The course is offered twice per year in the spring and fall and is available to all individuals that are associated with academic institutions and health systems within the state of Michigan. We found that participants in this course have a better understanding of their stakeholder ecosystem and overall business case for their product development path. This course is important for projects that are both funded and not funded. If your project is initially not funded, we've seen improvements in proposals that were resubmitted for funding after participating in this course. For more information on this course, please visit the Fast Forward Medical Innovation website. So let's begin discussing the Kickstart proposal sections in a little bit more detail. We'll first begin on the unmet needs section. The unmet needs section is a statement of the problem that you have encountered, the size of the problem, and why existing solutions fail to solve this problem. We can structure this unmet needs section in the form of a problem statement that reads, X impacts Y and causes Z. We want to make sure that the problem statement that you're outlaying in this section matches your solution closely. We want to consider who, what, when, where, and why this problem exists, and to describe it in detail. And these can include mortality, morbidity, cost, number of patients, etc. So if we reference the example provided at the beginning about the CryoAnesthesia project, we can read here their problem statement. Ophthalmologists typically choose one of two anesthesia options for intravitreal injections. One provides maximal anesthesia, but increases time for patient preparation, and the other provides minimal anesthesia, but is more time efficient and results in patient discomfort. So who does this problem affect? This problem affects ophthalmologists. And what are the problems associated with intravitreal injections? They either reduce efficiency or cause patient discomfort. So if we go to our problem statement format, we can phrase this as intravitreal injections impact ophthalmologists and cause lost time or patient discomfort. An important part in the unmet needs section is to size the overall impact to make sure that your unmet need is both clear and compelling. And ways to measure the potential impact include the number of potential customers or patients. And if you are considering your competitors in this area, you could also reference the potential number of units sold or potential amount of annual revenue of these competitors. So if we go back to our cryoanesthesia example, their attempt to size the impact reads as, with well over 1 million injections annually in the US, the market for this device would be on the order of several thousand units with the potential for several $1 million in revenue. So they addressed all three of these identified areas to size impact, including potential patients, so 1 million injections per year, and then the potential number of units sold and potential amount of annual revenue. You'll notice that they did not get very specific about the number of units or revenue in terms of several thousand and several million. there's room for improvement in making this more specific and detailed to really size the impact. So for example, if we assume that there are 3,300 ophthalmology practices in the US, and each practice would potentially buy 2 of these units, we could say that there is a potential for 6,600 units sold, which is more specific and quantitative than several thousand. There are several resources available to size the impacts. One of these resources is Fast Forward Medical Innovation's fast-paced course, as mentioned before. One of the topics in this course is market sizing, and we give you resources and educational materials to help you achieve that. Another option is to discuss with your tech transfer office, who may provide market reports or fellows reports related to your specific technology that you have disclosed to them. If you're an investigator at the University of Michigan, we have access to a number of librarians who can assist you with accessing market research reports. If you're looking for information on patient data, including procedure numbers, diagnosis codes, or other incidence rates, a publicly available resource is HCUPNet, which can be accessed at the link provided here. Additionally, I would recommend literature searches, Google searches, and impact section of grants. If you are looking to address revenue from direct competitors, companies provide this publicly available information on the internet, either on their website, in press releases, or potentially in presentations that you can download. The next Kickstart proposal section that we will be talking about is the solution section. As you can see here, it's broken down into 5 sections, and we will be discussing the technology and product section first. What we want to describe in this section is your envisioned product. You want to provide an overview of the envisioned product and any preliminary data to support that this envisioned product can solve the problem that you outlined in the unmet need section. We can phrase this as product X uses technology Y to deliver value Z. As I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that this matches your unmet need, and we really want to make sure that we're describing the product and not just the technology, and ultimately why your product is better than your competition. To delve a little deeper into technology versus product, the envisioned product is a final form factor. So it would be your medical device, your diagnostic, your healthcare IT solution, or your therapeutic. The technology is ultimately the enabling mechanism employed by the product. So for example, the portable handheld cryoanesthesia device uses contact thermoelectric cooling to deliver rapid, full anesthesia to the eye to decrease procedure time and reduce patient discomfort. The product is a portable handheld cryoanesthesia device, and the technology it employs is contact thermoelectric cooling. The value that this device delivers is to decrease procedure time and reduced patient discomfort. The cryoanesthesia team took a more detailed approach to describing their device in more detail, which can be shown here. They include details such as time to cooling, cooling temperature, and dimensions of the device. In addition to a description of the envisioned product, you need to present preliminary data to support the claims that you are making. Here, the cryoanesthesia team provides evidence that they were capable of building a contact thermoelectric device that could deliver an appropriate temperature to anesthetize a human cadaver eye. Next, we'll be moving on to the competition section of the Kickstart proposal. In the competition section, we want to use your ultimate end customers, value creators, to compare your solution to other methods. So what are the existing products on the market, and is one of your competitors standard of care? Consider using a table to make this more clear. The cryoanesthesia team identifies 2 forms of anesthesia for the eye. A better way to demonstrate your superiority over the competition is with a table. So here on the left, you can see the customer's value creators: rapid anesthesia, patient comfort, and less ocular irritation. In more detail about how each of the competition and your proposed solution stacks up. And we can see that cryoanesthesia offers all of these value creators while current standard methods do not. The solution section also addresses regulatory concerns. First and foremost, check your competitors and the regulatory path they took. Fast Forward Medical Innovation also offers a variety of guidance videos related to regulatory considerations for medical devices, diagnostics, therapeutics, and healthcare IT solutions at the YouTube link below. If you're an investigator at the University of Michigan, the MISHAR IND/IDE Investor Assistance Program, run by Kevin Weatherwax, provides regulatory consultation and services. Additionally, you can contact your tech transfer licensing representative or myself for additional questions about regulatory pathways. Here, the cryoanesthesia team took the approach of looking at their competitors and the regulatory path that they took. Here they describe the Tono pen, which is a handheld device that touches the eye, and they compared their cryoanesthesia device to this device and their regulatory 510(k) pre-market approval. Additionally, they also identified some technological differences between these devices that may warrant additional investigation. The solution section also needs to address intellectual property in the form of a tech transfer file number, any patents, including provisionals pending or issued, copyrights or trade secrets. As I mentioned previously, one of the requirements is that at least a tech transfer file number or idea report is on file with your tech transfer office. Some additional considerations for therapeutics: please provide information if your intellectual property will cover composition of matter, method of use, or both of these items. Additionally, for digital health IT projects, it's common that patents, copyright, or trade secret may or may not be applicable to your protection strategy. So please discuss the protection strategy and if it contains one of these methods. Please also note that Mi-Kickstart Award proposals are non-confidential. So please do not include any confidential information in your proposal, such as compound structures or detailed designs. Here you can see that the cryoanesthesia team concisely gave us their tech transfer file number and their plan to file a patent within 2 months of the application. Finally, in the solution section, we'll address the commercialization path and potential for your Envision product. This section is intended to discuss the next steps following the Mi-Kickstart application and potential funding sources. These are commercialization and translational research oriented funding sources and not NIH-based grants such as R01s. Additionally, discuss the potential commercialization strategy. Are you potentially going to license your technology to an existing company? If so, please identify companies that have similar technologies in the space in which you're operating. Or are you potentially going to license into a startup company? What is the funding strategy for that? Please also address any perceived barriers to commercialization. As an example of the commercialization and path potential section, we'll include an example of a different proposal that's geared towards a therapeutic for treatment of traumatic brain injury. This investigator gives us an example of their path forward, which includes funding development work towards an investigational new drug application through STTR, NIH, and DoD grants, and potentially MTRAC funding. Additionally, their exit strategy is to develop this with the ultimate goal of licensing into a third-party pharmaceutical company. They also list here a number of companies operating in the traumatic brain injury space that are potential licensees for this technology. Finally, we will discuss the last three sections of the Mi-Kickstart proposal, including the research plan, team, and budget sections. The research plan is geared towards testing the key hypothesis with the goal of failing fast. What we really want to address in this section is one critical go/no criteria that allows you to determine if your solution is worth pursuing further or needs serious reconsideration. This can be addressed in the form of specific aims with the goal of achieving one key milestone. Please do not include any detailed protocols. We don't need to know the specifics of any reagents, testing protocols, or anything like that included in the proposal, but more a high-level overview of what you're going to do and what you plan to achieve. Please make sure that the key milestone is both quantitative and demonstrable. The cryoanesthesia team's first specific aim was to determine the range of temperatures for ocular cooling without tissue damage. Here they lay out their experimental approach with the ultimate key milestone of identifying a safe range of cooling temperatures following a 30-second application to the eye. Additionally, they provide a timeline of this taking 12 weeks or 3 months. If we look at their key milestone of identifying a safe range of cooling temperatures following a 30-second application to the ocular surface, it's not exactly clear what is considered failure. If we improve upon this statement to make it measurable and demonstrable, a potential better phrasing of the key milestone would be demonstration that -5 degrees Celsius for 30 seconds does not result in significant histologic markers of cell damage. This gives us a clear path forward, and if it's not met, significant changes to the solution will need to be made. A key part of the research plan is a timeline. Please include a timeline in form of a graphic or table outlining your specific aims, the timeline for each, ending in the key milestone. Timelines should be between 6 and 12 months. The team section of the Kickstart proposal is a space to identify all of the individuals working on the project, their credentials, degrees, and relevant skills, and ultimately what they're contributing to the project. Focus on the role of each team member in the proposal, but also in the next steps of commercialization. As the ultimate goal of the Mi-Kickstart Award is to have patient impact, please identify if you have a clinical collaborator if relevant at this time. If any person has effort on the project, please make sure that they are mentioned in the team section and ultimately demonstrate that the necessary pieces are present to successfully complete the proposed work and any further commercialization efforts. The cryoanesthesia device is an ophthalmological device. So 2 of the team members mentioned here are both vitreoretinal surgeons at the Kellogg Eye Center. They have both clinical expertise and perform these procedures regularly. Additionally, one of the team members is a mechanical engineer with expertise in thermoelectric cooling and mechanical device building. This team has both the clinical and technical expertise to achieve the milestones laid out earlier. Finally, we will address the budget section of the Mi-Kickstart proposal. Salary is recommended to be less than 25% of the total, although there are exceptions to this rule. In certain circumstances, effort is required beyond this percentage and should be justified in the application. We like to see the majority of project expenses being spent on the project itself and not on salaries. We do not allow capital equipment or tuition to be supported by these grants. Subcontracts for third-party vendors with specific expertise for your project are allowed. These can cause delays in the procurement process. Because the Mi-Kickstart Award sponsor is the MEDC, which is funded by the state of Michigan, Michigan-based companies are preferred for these third-party services. Please also make sure that the salary and any materials or supplies bought are justified briefly. Allowable salary expenses include faculty, staff, graduate students, and undergraduate students. Here's an example of the Mi-Kickstart Award budget worksheet that include main categories of salary, consultants, equipment, travel, materials and supplies, animal purchase, housing and care, and other expenses. Travel should be well justified if applied for. As an example of the budget justification, the CryoAnesthesia team justifies the salary of their mechanical engineering collaborator with a brief explanation of his expertise in mechanical and electrical engineering as well as prototype development. The cryoanesthesia team also had a subcontract to a third-party vendor for some animal testing, which they justify here in terms of the third-party vendor's expertise and then ultimate cost of the project to be done at the third-party vendor, which was cheaper at the third-party vendor than it was at the University of Michigan. That concludes our Mi-Kickstart proposal workshop. For more information or questions related to the Mi-Kickstart Award, please visit the Fast Forward Medical Innovation website.